Welcome to another edition of Hubby's Hobbies Card Analysis. This time what we're going to do is I created a deck with green cards. It's all green. And it's based on proliferation, creating poison counters and oil counters. And I'm sure there's a lot of different ways you can take this deck. I just made it really quick, so feel free to post in the comments if you have any ideas about how to best use the cards together or combos you might see. But let's get started. So first we got two Contagious Vorax. When Contagious Vorax enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, proliferate. If you're not familiar with proliferate, it just means add a counter for all of the counters that you have on the board. Evolving Adaptive. Evolving Adaptive enters the battlefield with an oil counter on it, and it gets +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than Evolving Adaptive, put an oil counter on Evolving Adaptive. So we're already off to a good start with Contagious Vorax and these two. There's 3 of these in the deck. So they only cost 1, and there's 0/0. They come out as a 1/1. Carnivorous Canopy. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. If that permanent mana value was 3 or less, proliferate. And we have 3 of these. Predation Steward. Predation Steward enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. 2 and a green, tap. Pay 2 and a green and tap. Remove an oil counter from Predation Steward. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Got 2 of those in there. Good for the early game. Titanic Growth. 1 and a green mana. Target creature gets +4/+4. We got 4 of these in there. Also for the early game. I like to think of green decks as survive the early game, build up massive creatures, and then come over the top in the end, or just extend the game for a while. It makes the game fun, I guess. Reach, Trample, Sky Scythe, Engulfer. 5 and a green. It's a 6/5, and it can't be blocked by creatures with flying. Also has Reach and Trample. Got 2 of those. Then we got, I believe, 3 Halo Foil Branching Evolutions. Cost 2 and a green. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be on a creature you control, twice that many. Wait a minute. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. So this is really good to have in a proliferate deck like this, or an oil counter deck, and it's an enchantment from Fallout, and it's a search foil, so nice card. Plague Nurse, Toxic 2. 2 and a green. Each other creature you control with Toxic gains 1 Toxic until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. It's a 3/4 for 4. Oh, this is one of my favorite rares in the deck right here. Growing Rites of Itlimok. Legendary enchantments. When Growing Rites of Itlimok enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards from your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, transform Growing Rites of Itlimok. And that becomes a legendary land. and you add a tree or a tree for each creature you control. So this instantly becomes 5 mana if you control 4 or more creatures. So you can have a lot to work with there. There's 2 of those in there. Lattice Blade Mantis. When Lattice Blade Mantis enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it, and whenever he attacks, you may remove an oil counter from it, and if you do, untap it, and it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So that's pretty cool. You can attack with it and remove a counter, and then it becomes a blocker again. Green Sun's Twilight. This is another nice rare. Oh yeah, how many of those are in there? I think there's 2. 2 Lattice Blade Mantises. 2 Growing Rites of Itlamok. Alright, Green Sun's Twilight. Reveal the top X+1 cards of your library. Choose a creature card and or a land card from among them. Put those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards onto the battlefield or into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So that's a good addition right there. I got 2 of those. Branch Blight Stalker, Toxic 2. It's a 3/1 with Toxic 2 that costs 2. I just got one of these. It's a nice common card. Just one of those in there. Titanoth Rex. It costs 9 to play. It's 11/11 with trample, and you can cycle it. When you cycle, put a trample counter on target creature you control. That's pretty cool. Echo and Courage. Target creature and all other creatures with the same name as that creature get +2/+2. And a little buff right there. Tyrannax Atrocity. Haste and Toxic 3 costs 5. So that's a killer card right there. Good weapon. Topiary Stomper, another dinosaur with vigilance. When Topiary Stomper enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Topiary Stomper can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more lands. So it's got vigilance, sits out there for a while, and then kind of does its thing. I got Evolved Spinoderm, Showcase Foil, kind of a mirror finish, nice card there. Evolved Spinoderm enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. Evolved Spinoderm has trample as long as it has 2 or few oil counters on it, otherwise it has hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from Evolved Spinoderm, then if it has no oil counters on it, sacrifice it. So this is a cool card. It only costs 4 and it's a 5/5, so they have to kind of nerf it a little bit, so it gets oil counters taken off of it every turn, but with the amount of proliferation in this deck, I don't think it's going to just disappear. So, very powerful card there. Venomous Brutalizer, Toxic 3. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, proliferate again. Enchanted Forest. Enchant Forest, Utopia Sprawl. As Utopia Sprawl enters the battlefield, choose a color. Whenever Enchanted Forest is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of the chosen color. So, that's another land that you can enchant and turns into 2 land. Noxious Assault, Sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Whenever a creature blocks this turn, its controller gets a poison counter. So that could be a 1 swipe right there. Or at least put somebody in a lot of pressure. Sorcery. Viral Spawning. Create a 3/3 Phyrexian Beast creature token with Toxic 1. As long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters and Viral Spawning is in your graveyard, it has flashback. So that's a nice card of Corrupted. And then finally, 1 lonely copper long legs, 1 in a green with reach. 1 in a green, sacrifice copper long legs and proliferate. So, this deck, along with 11 foil lands and 10 regular lands, is available at Hubby's Hobbies right now. You go check it out if you want. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share the video. Thanks for watching, and have fun playing Magic. Alright, take care.